Well, hello. Yes, another surprise live. I've got to keep doing this. I've got to get myself sorted out a little bit more. But I'm your favorite learner lawyer here with some more interesting stuff for you all. I hope you are all well. If you're on the replay crew, hello. It is 9:30 a.m. Saturday morning. And I should be doing other stuff, but here I am. Hey, Dee. I was just closing some tabs as I do, and I refreshed them all. And I noticed that when I got to the court, the case search, so I was just, checking my tabs. I noticed that there was some correspondence here. And this one took my attention. Amended summons and complaint. So, the little learner lawyer's head's gone, whoa, what's going on here? What's going on here? So we have a letter here that says, please find a closed plaintiff's amended summons and complaint in this matter. This matter is being amended pursuant to Civil Procedure 5.01. Please note that the caption should be updated to include Miranda Derrick and James Derrick as plaintiff. So it's 7:31 in Indiana, D. Wow. Hello, Angela. So I actually haven't scrolled through the whole lawsuit to see what's been amended. But if we have a look here, you'll see it's 7M Films, Robert Shin, Miranda Derrick, and James Derrick, and now the plaintiffs. And they're now collectively referred to as the plaintiffs. Now, interestingly, Plaintiff Miranda Derrick is an individual resident of the state of California. Plaintiff James Derrick is an individual in the state of California. Now, down here, Miranda and James are clients of 7M. So, I haven't gone through to see, because I don't know why, but there was obviously some question about Miranda and Derrick between the correspondence of the lawyers. Well, they need to be plaintiffs, and so 7M's just gone and said, yep, we'll add them. So now, every mention of Miranda in these complaints are relevant because she's now a plaintiff. Now, Katie Joy has said this. Got this letter today in the mail. There's no mention of Shekinah Church in the letter. Since I've been reporting on Shekinah, I don't know how a project on 7M is tied. In a statement put out by 7M, they stated that Shekinah and 7M are not affiliated. My project is about Shekinah Church. Also, communications with 7M, that's you. Don't worry, I don't destroy evidence. I find it very weird that this would be information they're after because I have only spoken about 7M as they relate to Shekinah. I thought dancers were not employees. Former members of Shekinah were never members of 7M. Doesn't that contradict everything that she's been saying? So she's essentially got a letter to preserve evidence relating to Without a Crystal Ball, 7M's Robert Shin, between you and anyone from 7M Films, communications between you. But if you look at the allegations here, was lured into a church, 7M. She has been talking about 7M. She has been saying that it's been linked to Shekinah Church. Hands up if you thought that she was talking about Shekinah Church and not 7M. I thought she was saying 7M was the cult because now her narrative has changed. She's changing her narrative. She's saying there is no mention of Shekinah Church in the letter since I've been reporting on Shekinah. No, you haven't. You've been reporting on Miranda Derrick and 7M. It's been 7M clients that you have approached because of the fact that you said that they were a cult. But now you're saying, I've never mentioned 7M. You can't just change the narrative because you've been caught. Well, that's all right, Sky Positive. If she wants to come after me, she can, because we have some pretty strict tech laws here, and I'm just doing what she's doing. I'm doing live reporting. Look, here is the case search. Voila. So I hadn't even heard of Shekinah. Is a biblical name, I believe. Yeah, I've never heard of it either. People have pronounced it interesting, but I've always called it Shekinah, and I know a few people called Shekinah. Let me tell you, Shekinah. Yeah, so it's actually a Jewish. So Shekinah, in Jewish and Christian theology, the glory of the divine presence, conventionally represented as light or interpreted symbolically. So that's what Shekinah means. So Shekinah is the English transliteration of the Hebrew word meaning dwelling or settling, and denotes the dwelling or the settling of the divine presence of God. So it's got Jewish roots. KJ wouldn't have the guts, the fox. Oh, if she's been drinking a little amber fluid, she might. I just got blocked on Instagram for a comment to Todd. I couldn't even respond. Did you plan to create? Oh no! Welcome to the Blocked by Katie Joy Club. What are your what did you say? She's I'll tell you what, for somebody, I hope if I ever, well, I mean, I don't ever want to get COVID. I'm happy to stay away from COVID, but I hope I can be as active on the internet as what she can. Because I would already, if I ended up with COVID, I'd be going to doctor's certificate to get a note to get excused from university. 7M and Robert Shin demand that WOACB save all documentation and communication related to 7M. They want communication between you and anyone from 7M Films, employees, dancers, affiliates, blah, blah, blah. It is true that the CEO of 7M, Dr. Robert Shin, is also the pastor of Shekinah Church. It is not true that there is any business affiliation between the two entities. It is quite common for a person of faith to own and operate. They publicly stated there is no affiliation between 7M and Shekinah Church. You do not have to be a member of Shekinah Church to be represented by 7M, nor do you have to be represented by 7M to be a member of the Shekinah Church. Isn't that opposite to what she's been saying? Shekinah Church is not a plaintiff to the lawsuit, nor an affiliate party, as her own statement reads. Interviews with former members are not and have never been members of 7M. They're members of the Shekinah Church. She's changing the narrative. If I'm communicating with 7M employees, they would know. They've also stated the dancers are not employees. If your goal is to find out which former members have been sharing information, they will not be revealed in a lawsuit regarding 7M. Sorry. The problem is, Katie Joy Paulson, is that under the Minnesota disclosure rules of reporting, which we have looked at on this channel, they can actually tell you can actually be forced under oath to do it. Another email sent by Anna Grace Shin to Shekinah Church members a few years ago. Such an industry way to greet members by calling them aliens. Well, technically, we are referred to as aliens because we're Christians, and Jesus said that we are not of this world. Therefore, we're aliens. And plus, let's also, hi aliens and other world ones. What do you think you are when you go and settle in a new country? They've not actually updated a lot of the legislation to say immigrants. People are still referred to as aliens. Aliens had another name. Hello, Kino. Aliens was another name for people belonging from a new. Both had issues with alcohol or plan to create. You are nasty. How are you feeling anyway? So now she's trying to say that they're trying to get who her sources are. Guess what? Oh, if the Tiny Westbrook case has taught us anything, it's that she will roll over and save her skin. Because we saw it. But anyway, so don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if we see another amendment to say that Shekinah Church is now a plaintiff. All right. The other thing is that 7M have put in their those arts with notifications. Cool. So this is the record of filing. So the attorney for the plaintiff. So they've filled in their representation. Yeah. So they've got their representation. So they've filled in. There's been no anything. There's been nothing to do with KJ yet. Todd was complaining about Emily drinking and no one complaining. And I said maybe because Katie has made public that they both have problems with alcohol. That is correct. So we know that there is a hearing on the 27th of the 5th. So we know there's a hearing coming up. So when she talks about the fact that it's going nowhere, it's already got its first court date. The 27th of the 5th. Do you think that as a learner lawyer, I might be able to get permission to attend remotely? I think I might start. I'm going to start calling myself learner lawyer. I've decided. I'm going to see if I can make that stick. Learner lawyer. Let's learn the law with learner lawyer. Oh, I plan to create. I've got to tell you about the next. I'll have to message you about the next part of my little saga. It doesn't help when somebody says that they'll take you out for graduation dinner and then wants to cut. You might be able to. Yeah, I'll try. And then it says after this lunch, I want to cut ties with you. And said person puts on a nice dress. Wears the anyway, I did a live stream the day that I was going out for lunch. Well, now said person says, I don't know that I'm ready for a relationship, but all I know is that I need you. And I just said that. Oh, I can't believe that I'm going to give this up. I'm nasty. I'm mean. But anyway, it's so funny. Well, I figured that if they didn't want to see me again, I'd give them a taste of what they'd be missing out on. Because and the thing is, I'm the person that goes, you have to accept me as I am, and I can be up at this level, but I choose to be at this level where I'm comfortable. But yeah, no, it's funny. Oh, but anyway. Oh, and the other thing is, my daughter rings me from work the other day, and she says, "Mum, when are you free? Are you free on this day?" Well, I'm about to have uni break after we have 2 weeks off after Easter. My daughter's booked me in to get some laser treatment. I'm going to get, my moustache done and all of that, and she's going to do it for me, and she's going to pay for me to get it done because that's what she does for her work. So I'm so excited. Joanne, if either person can handle you at the worst, they don't deserve at the best. Well, that's true. They can't handle you. Well, see, that's the thing. And this is the thing. And I have to say, I am pretty stubborn. This person is used to people kicking them when they're down, and I don't kick them when they're down. And I said, if you don't want me at my worst, you don't deserve me at the best. I'm so frustrated, KJ, for that. You got a lawsuit from the cult. It's not filed at court. That is a Actually, I did put on Twitter when she said that. I posted on Twitter when she goes, "If you've got the lawsuit, you're in bed with the cult." And I said, well, "I checked my bed; it's empty. It's only me. I did check under the bed, and there's lots of stuff under there that scares me, but there's no cult." As long as the cult doesn't hug you know my opinion on your lunch date. I know your opinion on my lunch date plan to create. But yes, I thought, as I said, I would. I've not made communication. They've communicated with me. So anyway, yeah. So I haven't, yeah, as I said, I haven't gone through to see what other changes there are in here. So this, but I had to have some fun planned to create. I did have to have some fun. KJ thinks everything. This says filed on the 7th of the 4th, 2022 at 5:38 p.m. As I said, my whole point is if they wanted to cut ties with me, I wanted them to see what they were potentially going to be giving up. And that was my whole plan. So it was a bit disconcerting, though, having somebody staring at me the whole time. Oh, it was so funny. Oh, I did enjoy it, though. I lapped it up. From what I can work out, though, there is nothing. I mean, she's saying she's reporting it on the cult, but all of her, I have had a lot of fun, I say, playing for. Have you? They don't mention, I mean, she mentions, all her mentions are about 7M. So let me ask you again. Did you think Katie Joy was saying the church was a cult or 7M was a cult? What was your impression? Hi, Michelle. Because now she's saying that she's never talked about 7M and only ever talked about Shekinah Church. And this is her whole narrative at the moment by her Instagram posts. Both, says Ellie. Because she's saying both were a cult. Well, see, that's what I thought planned to create, but she's saying that she's never reporting WOSCB has conducted related to Robert Shin involves Shekinah Church. She's changing the narrative. She's trying to change the narrative. You can't change the narrative. It is all there, Katie Joy. Now she's talking about Jen and Katie Duggar enter the cult recruitment world by sharing their testimony. It's quite common for people, and she's manifesting a divorce for Anna. I mean, I find that to be quite disturbing. This is quite hilarious. It's quite common for Christian people to share their story of faith, and it's called a testimony. This one, she says, so one tip I would share with anyone that enters into the online reporting world as a profession is protecting your business from legal threats. Business insurance is available to online publishers, no matter the size of their platform or media website. Now, it's interesting, she's referring to herself as a publisher. Therefore, she could be deemed an intermediary if she has shared anything from any of that cult sucks or whatever that, and any of those anti-7M pages. If she's published them or republished them, I know in Australia you could be deemed an intermediary. She could be deemed liable. Business, yeah. WOACB, along with their officers. What officers? Are insured to cover any legal damages or lawsuit expenses. When people state the lawsuit will bankrupt my business, I know this is not true due to our insurance. She's gone from ours to mine to ours. Insurance does not drop you for filing a claim. We didn't file a claim. You can decide if you want to use insurance or not when legal suits are filed. Every business should protect themselves with insurance. You can find policies online. Good luck. Business insurance was my trade, underwrite until I retired. Katie is giving excellent advice here. Yes. But if you read the fine print quite often, I was a commercial insurance broker in California. I'll just say that in California, for any of you who are here, you may need business owner's policy. But yeah, I don't know if she's trying to rewrite what she has said on of course, Michelle, she's trying to rewrite what she has said on NG Lives on her post. That seems like to be what she's doing. She's trying to rewrite her narrative to say, I've never said this. Well, at the end of the day, okay, here's how it works. We assume that we're going to assume that Katie Joy's lawyer. So when you represent a client, it's your job to make your client look good and give the advice to your client to win. Everything, all the advice that you can give can only be on facts you are given. So if she says, and I mean, look, if all the evidence that she gives to her lawyers shows that she's been talking about Shekinah Church and not 7M, that's the narrative they're going to run with. But if she's showing them that what they're saying is true, right, then the advice would have to be my advice to her would be to settle. Let's see what we can do to mitigate everything. Because remember, I've seen what she said. I know that she said these things, but and the same with the lawyers representing 7M and Miranda Derrick. I mean, at the end of the day, the lawyers only really get one side of the story, and that's what they've got to work with. And so it's when you get to litigation and you start hearing the other sides, and then, you know, it's like if you think of if you've got multiple kids and something's happened and you've got one blaming the other for it, and you've got to try and get to, that's what the judge does. The judge has to sort of sort out the mess. You got one side saying it wasn't me, it was them, and wasn't them, it was me. I didn't say that. And the judge is like the arbitrator in all of that, and to make a decision, was it said? But then there are laws that says, that guide by that. However, if you've got your lawyer, but if what she's saying, so KJ is confused and going so looping it. That's your words, Michelle, not mine. Yep. So we've seen some of these comments, and so what her lawyer is going to say, when they go, look, this is the allegation. Now, unless her lawyer has actually sat down and looked at it, they're going to try and say, well, she didn't actually, what she meant to say was this. She didn't actually say this the way it came out. It was meant to be interpreted like this. That's how they're going to play it. So, for example, this one. Oh, yeah, post. Oh, look, here you go. Look, they've updated it. No link. No link. No link. Post removed. She's removed it. Post removed. Post removed. They've got it. They've listed it here that the posts have been removed. So it's now in the court that there has been stuff removed. Former members say Shekinah church leadership restricts their access to phones and communication because they must spend all their time working to support the gospel. That post has been removed. So, yes, the court, there is a hearing. It's a remote hearing. It is on the 27th of May. This is all public record, 27th of May at 9 o'clock. I'm on the Minnesota court records online. So it's now interesting that what's really interesting now is that they've now put into court documents that the post has been removed. After reviewing court records, interviewing multiple former members and families of those trapped, my opinion is that the Shins are walking an extremely fine line of human trafficking. Now that post has been removed. Hello, Bella. That's okay. I just jumped on because I just noticed that there had been an amendment. Oh, gee whiz, I can't spell amendment. Anyway, I'll fix it up later. So the fact that that post, the human trafficking post has been removed would raise red flags. In my opinion, should raise red flags to the court. And that's why they've asked them, that's why they've sent her to preserve the evidence, because the posts have been removed. So see, this could probably be proved. I mean, at the end of the day, they've got to prove it. The conduct of the defendant's false statements, plaintiffs have been shunned, avoided, and injured in the occupation of their business. We know that they've lost money. So they're saying that it's going to be over $1 million. So, the thing is, Michelle, they could just ask Glamour Girl. Ask Glamour Girl. Or they could put something on Twitter and ask for it. I am certain they would. I'm certain everybody could get this. Now, this is the thing. This is one of the evidence that they've got in here. So defendants continue to boast about interfering with plaintiffs' contacts with various third parties. So she said, multiple talent agents and managements have told me the Clippers are cutting ties with 7M. She says, I've spoken to multiple talent agents and managers along with industry insiders who have applied pressure to Clippers management to cut ties with 7M. Last week, an insider told me that Clippers are promptly cancelled Crucified show for the week. The same thing happened this week. We're hearing extremely concerning information coming out about Robert Israel Shin. We have heard that he and his team have been planning to build a sanctuary for artists to live, work, and pay them for everything. Where do I sign? If I get free accommodation, free food, and I just have to work, and I get free everything else, where do I sign? Sorry, I shouldn't make light of it, but does that sound bad? So she's bragging. So here what they're saying here is that she's bragging about the fact that the LA Clippers had cancelled their sponsorship. Now she's saying in her Instagram post, she was saying that she's never spoken about 7M. Let me just, I got rid of my, let me just go back there. Let's just go have a look at what she put in her Instagram post and let's compare it to what is just here. You know, we're all about the facts here. What is facts? And as somebody who has been reading through multiple cases for uni, I tell you, there is, I don't know, I hope they did, but as I said, Juju, I'm sure I am certain that they could get copies. So she is saying here, let me just read this. Reporting WOACB has conducted related to Robert Shin involves Shekinah Church. And yet, if we go back to here, I have spoken to multiple talent agencies and managers along with the industry insiders who have applied pressure to cut ties with 7M. Hello. Any projects we are working on are related to Shekinah Church. 7M is not the focus of any projects as the church is the primary focus. Then why are you cancelling sponsorships for 7M? Allegedly. I'll take that back again. Who have applied pressure to the Clippers management to cut ties with 7M. And then she's talking about his sanctuary. Reporting WOCB has conducted related to Robert Shin involves Shekinah Church. So why is she talking about sponsorships? No, there is no mention of Shekinah Church in the letter. Since I've been reporting on Shekinah, I don't know how a project on 7M is tied. It's tiring. This is tiring. This is going to be exhausting for the court. This is going to be so tiring. So it's her Instagram post. Where's she talking about? Where she talked about the only bit that she's talked about was a sanctuary for artists to live, work, and pay them for everything. How's that related to the church? That's 7M. And like, am I missing something here? Like, is my brain just totally fried? Or are the majority of the posts about 7M and not the church? So they're saying that plaintiffs Robert Shin, Miranda, Derrick, and James Derrick have suffered general damages, including emotional distress and mental suffering. Negligence per se. Oh, it could go on for years, Christine. It could go on. Well, defamation cases go on for years. And I keep talking about the Rod Smith case in Australia. That's been going on for it's been going on for nearly a year. I know, free food and accommodation, I'd be great. Deceptive trade practices. That's one of their counts, deceptive trade practices. Didn't I say that before, that there could be deceptive trade practices? Internal interference. But here's my take on it. Now, if you remember her live the other day, she talked about all these production companies. Plan to Create says she'll throw her team and sources under the bus and settle. Of course she will, Plan to Create. That's what she'll do. Do you remember the other day she started listing all these production companies? Well, they're actually competitors to 7M. Why? What if, this is purely speculation, what if they're the ones, that's her team, and they are encouraging her to go after 7M so that these companies, it's easy for them to get business, which would be injury to business, which would be tortious interference. I have no doubt Llama Girl would have the clips. So this is interesting. For a judgment in an amount equal to all the sums defendants have made from their posts and traffic to their website as a result of the posts regarding the plaintiffs. So 7, they want, as part of the relief, all the money that she's made. She did that before. Of course she has, Michelle. That's why I'm saying And she's in her double down. She's in her double down thing, and her lawyer really needs to tell her she needs to do a tardy at this point and not talk about it. In my opinion. So anyway, that's all I really wanted to share with you, is that we've had an amended complaint, and Miranda and James have now been added. Well, they haven't, but if anyone from 7M is watching, she keeps saying she doesn't earn any money from it. She has to be earning something, because otherwise she wouldn't there's no way she would be doing all of that if she's not getting something. She's getting money from somewhere. Either either her team's paying her or anything. So here's what I would. This would be what I would do. I would do what Barilaro did when he took on Shanks from YouTube. He actually sued Google for allowing the content to be on there. So we know that Google doesn't own Instagram, but I'd be going after. Well, in fact, I'd be suing Meta. I'd be adding Meta to it, and Google, and go and put all the social media companies behind it. See how much support they will give Katie Joy, because they will have to view her footage and decide whether they're going to support her or whether they're going to wash their hands of her, and that is how you do it. Google supported Friendly Geordies and they ended up not pleading a defense. Maybe money from the production company for research. Yeah, maybe. As I said, she has to be making something. We know that in the end, Google didn't file a defense and just went, we'll just take whatever payout we're going to get. But the way for this to get to the attention of the social media is to put them in as parties. And as I said, we saw that working. And if Barilaro's barrister's correct, well, Google did. I mean, so did Shanks. They had their hands tied with parliamentary privilege. Going after defending yourself against a politician is a little bit harder than a YouTuber or a social media person. But I'd be really interested to see, and that way they don't. I'd be really interested to see whether Google and Meta would stand behind Katie Joy with those postings. I mean, they may then make a decision themselves and say, look, we're washing our hands of it, whatever. But that's what I would do. I would be including YouTube and Meta or Instagram. Go to do YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. But that's just me. That's just my opinion, and I'm only a learner lawyer. I'm just a learner. Of course, Jujitsu, but I dislike the idea of holding platforms responsible for people. Yes, that's right. I don't like it either, because if I have some really PD. I have some really big issues about that as well. But it seemed to be, though, the only way for YouTube to actually have watched the videos and to really pay attention to the videos. And they, in the end, said that there were parts that they didn't agree with, but they stood by the general principle of it. But some of the allegations here, and the other thing is, you've got to remember with Friendly Geordies, Jordan Shanks, is that he had receipts right through to back up every claim that was made. Here is the evidence. Claim, evidence, claim, evidence. And Google said, if you're going to make claims, you have to have, that's what Google has stated. What evidence have we seen? We've seen some old court filings. What have we seen in 2021, 2022 to back up these claims. Hello. I was just about to finish, Peter. You need more coffee? Oh, I went to the shops. I got iced coffee. I'm about to clean my room. My order of the business was to clean my room, prepare for my concert tonight, have a shower, make myself beautiful. Okay, these receipts are sources that want to remain anonymous and not report anything. Well, see, even Jordan Shanks, if you look at the one about Peter Dutton, he still had his anonymous sources, but he had the receipts. Somebody had sent him emails. I want to know who that is. But, you know, still had receipts, still had proof. With the one that got taken down or hidden by YouTube about the prayer room, he had official documents that, you know, he had a copy of the official report. Receipt, you know, proof is everything. And I've not seen anything in recent days to convince me that you spent an hour over to sketch. I've not seen anything that tells me that either Shekinah or 7M are a cult. Well, all I have seen is a family dispute played out online that somebody got involved with and is now allegedly smearing allegedly the production company. A video about, it's called The Prayer Room, Michelle. It's about what the goings on in the prayer room in Parliament House in Australia. Not very pretty. Let's just say I'm so glad I'm not a cleaner at Parliament House. And I think those cleaners should be given a pay rise. It's pretty gross. So, I mean, again, this is just all my opinion. I'm not a lawyer. And don't forget that because Jordan Shanks or Friendly Geordies had the Barilaro stuff, YouTube's going to be watching him and going to be really careful. It wouldn't surprise me whether anything controversial they'll take down. She hasn't shown any receipts or proof of anything she has said, except, of course, those 10-year-old dismissal lawsuits. That's the thing. Lawsuits from 10 years ago need... Even, you know what, even to apply to be admitted to the Supreme Court in Victoria, if you show that you've had issues 10 years ago and you've been in court, to be admitted to the Supreme Court, you have to prove that you are a fit and proper person now, not in the past. You have to declare all of those things. So you would declare that 10 years ago, I was in court for this. 10 years ago, I was in court for this. 12 years ago, I was in court, you know, whatever. You show all that. It was dismissed. It didn't go anywhere, blah, 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 blah. Here's the case. Here's the summary, da, 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 da. However, but there is nothing in my record now, and I'm a fit and proper person. That's what you got to do to be admitted to be in the Supreme Court. It's about being a fit and proper person now. So I want to know what they are doing now. Yes, and there are statutes of limitations. There are some things that have longer than not. I mean, the other for me, if she has said that they've taken it to law enforcement and they're saying they can't do anything, then that tells you everything. If she wants to say it shows previous behaviour, then it also has to apply to her for her previous lawsuits behaviour. Exactly, plan to create. Remember, Todd was saying that nobody jumped up and down that Emily D. Baker was drinking, but Katie was drinking, and everyone's going, well, it's not quite the same thing. But, you know, you can't complain about one. Yeah. You know, you either hold everyone to the same standard. So anyway, oh, and I also have to do an assignment. I've done 2 now. I've got 2 to go, and then I've got to start on them. Then I've got to go around and start the cycle again because I've got another 3 due at the end of the month. I get a week off, and all will be assignments. So anyway, I want to thank you all for joining me. I just thought that would be interesting for you to note that they've updated, they've amended it. Took your allergy medication. Amber doesn't go off on her audience and wreak havoc after having a drink on. That is also true, Juju, and she's, yeah. So the other thing is, don't forget that 7M's also now employed, local lawyers as well. So they've got a local firm. So there's nothing, it's an even playing field. Although I would laugh, for me, I would find it very, very hilarious if Miranda and Derrick, Miranda and James, being in California, engaged salts. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Anyway, have a good day, Joanne and Colt. Bye now, says the fox. Yes. So, yes, it is now 10:18 on Saturday morning, and I need to get moving. And I will catch you all again. I don't know when that will be, but it will be soon. Thank you for watching. Make sure you do all the YouTube stuff. Hit the like button and whatever. And, well, Katie Joy could be watching this. Yep, Katie Joy. I'm just a learner. Everything is my opinion. And as I said, I can only, if what I, we are still watching. Oh, Emily D. Baker's just posted on Miranda and James Derrick Sue KJ in the amended complaint file. She's just put it on, she's just posted it on Twitter. Oh, yes, she says in amended complaint filed on the 7th of the 4th, Miranda and James Derrick are now plaintiffs against the complaint now includes new alleged defamatory statements from the 4th of the 1st. Oh, I didn't see that. Let's have a look. Sorry, I'm not going yet. We need to have a look. I missed that. I did have a look. I did scroll down. And notes which have been removed. Oh, yes. She goes, oh, wait on. Let's take a step back. Hang on, I'm not going now. False alarm. I need to look at this. As I said, I didn't look at it. I only had a very, very quick look. Where are we? Because I noticed the stuff had been removed. Darn it. Well, all right. 6th of the 3rd. Oh, yeah, she's added 9th of the 3rd, 10th of the 3rd. 10th of the 3rd, 11th of the 3rd, 15th of the 3rd. Oh, that's right. So remember, it's got, yes, so new allegations here from the 4th. 7M have, remember she's saying that she doesn't report on 7M, she's reporting on Shekinah Church. That's what she said, she's doubling down on. So former members say Shekinah Church restricts their phones, posts removed. After reviewing court records, interviewing multiple former members, families, those trapped, in my humble opinion, the Shins are walking an extremely fine line of human trafficking. Post removed. Knowing that Miranda's parents are coming, 7M suddenly sends Miranda and James on a trip. That's a post. In discovery, my legal team can subpoena all of their bank records, their taxes, management contracts, the pay stubs, and all their social media and email accounts assigned to any member. Not to mention, this will expose any and all activity that is not legal. Management has a right to take the commission. This is true. Managers do not house their talent or have their talent attend their church. How much? Wait on, didn't she say in her Instagram post, real management does not run smear campaigns against reporters? Why hasn't 7M gone after Rolling Stones, The Sun, Daily Mail, Daily Beast, New York Post, blah, 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 or any of the former members or families have spoken out? When there is overwhelming evidence that there is something not right happening, generally means something right is not happening. Human trafficking takes many forms, and this could or could not be. I'm not the police or the FBI, but I can certainly share my opinion based on what I find. Freedom of religion is a constitutional right, and so is freedom of speech. This is not a dictatorship. This is not North Korea. This is the USA, where journalists have the freedom of the press. Having accounts like this will not help any legal cases you seek out and carry. It only proves my counterclaim. Maybe you should delete these pages since you wouldn't want them to be used against you. Yes, they've amended their claim to add Miranda and James, and they've added, if you remember their original one, they said that they reserved the right to add to it. Now you might understand why Miranda isn't talking to her parents. Hannah controls her every move. WOACB is aware where the money came from, but we would like 7M to share where the money came from and which members' money was used to buy this Bentley. Getting sued is like a badge of honor at this point. Report that Robert Shin's Shekinah Church was illegally operating as a church without proper zoning permit removed. It's interesting that she's removed all the ones that are talking about. That's one about the church. Oh, that's a human trafficking one. Yeah, that's a church. Former members say Shekinah Church leadership restricts their access. That's removed. 7M have taken things to an extreme that is very concerning. They've now deleted James Derrick's Facebook and Twitter. Miranda's Facebook profile is also deleted. Post remove. And remove. Interesting, isn't it? And then, look, Robert Shin's next door neighbours are moving. I'm hearing that people have been driving by a lot, trying to spot Robert. I'm assuming this could be pretty disruptive to neighbours. The real story is this. Focusing on their lawsuit distracts from the story. Stay focused. Alleges that one of the 7M clients is stealing money from a fundraiser he runs to help Ukraine. Alleges a video posted by one of 7M's clients is a recruiting tool for the 7M cult. So they have added to it. And don't forget, they sent the cease and desist on the 10th of March, and it's just ramped up. See, on the 10th of March, they sent a cease and desist. So, yeah, so they've added the most recent posts, the 6th. And yet, so this could get amended again with more posts because it's still going. I think her lawyers need to tell her to stop. Isn't there a Duggar hug in the tree somewhere? Or isn't that a Duggar girl wearing pants? Oh, she also put this one. Oh, yes, human trafficking. Living with employer, dancers live in church housing of their employer, poor living conditions, former members alleged squalor-like conditions. So she's linking the two together. An ability to speak to individuals alone. Miranda and others are constantly monitored and never allowed to be alone when speaking to family. Employees holding identity documents, signs of physical abuse, submissive or fearful members are told to obey and submit, or they're punished. Unpaid or paid very little. Former members alleged up to 80% of their earnings went to Robert Shin, under 18 and in prostitution. Multiple former members alleged SA, human trafficking crimes and charges. What on earth? No wonder she removed that. As I said, to plead the truth defense, she would have to prove that all of that's correct. She would have to prove that there is human trafficking and SA and all of that sort of stuff. Even if she went for partial truth, she would still have to, if you went for that part of it was partially true, you still have to, she would still have to prove that some of that was true. How on earth do you do that? And if the FBI isn't interested, then it's fair to say there's not enough evidence. No wonder she removed that post. Plan to Create says she would need a victim well, yes, she'd have to out her victims. She would have to out her sources. I don't think the judge will have a head pain. Oh, I've got a head pain after all of it. And that's what's exactly what's happening in the Ben Roberts-Smith case. In fact, they're all the people are given numbers, person one, because they're keeping their identity secret. No one's allowed to publish their identity in the media. But there's 35 witnesses that are testifying for this truth defense. And this case, and we were talking about it yesterday in my class, this case has just exploded. I mean, they've had 4 months of testimony so far from witnesses for the media. They haven't even got to Ben Roberts-Smith yet. For the defendants, they haven't even got to Ben Roberts-Smith, given started with his list of witnesses. It's been going, there's something, yeah, as I said, 36 witnesses that are all testifying for a day. It's costing in the millions. It's going to cost in the millions. And so for her she's going to have to prove if she wants to plead the truth defense, because they're pretty big allegations. And there was nothing in there that said that they were allegations. She did say former members allege 80% of their earnings went to Robert Shin. And she says, in my opinion, he's walking a fine line about human trafficking. And then she goes on and lists a whole pile of facts. It comes down to reasonableness. Would a reasonable person believe that those statements were fact or those statements were opinion? Some were fact, some, as when I'm reading that, some of those come across as opinion, some of those come across as fact. What would a reasonable person think? It's called the reasonableness test. So if you can see that, have a read of that and tell me what you think. This discovery is going to be very interesting, because often oh no, Michelle, she's saying she's got insurance that she's not going to pay anything, but I think she could be. It'll be interesting to see what happens when she puts her claim in. So yeah, I just find it very interesting. As I said, the fact that there are now posts removed, the fact that I think is really fascinating. I just don't know what to say about it. See, again, how does she prove that no, Miranda's parents are coming, 7M suddenly sends Miranda and James on a trip? How does she prove that that was planned? How does she prove that that happened? Because all 7M would have to show is that the tickets were booked beforehand. Do you know what I mean? Like, how does she... Where there's... because she would have had to have handed to the insurance as soon as she was served, and they would just... Well, see, that's what I'm wondering too. That's what I thought so too without a lawyer. I don't do commercial litigation till next semester. I think I do commercial litigation next semester. Wait on, where is it? I was looking at it the other day. Where is it? Yes, I do commercial law and policy, law and the policy of misleading conduct and product liability, criminal procedure and policy, and data law and protection. Data law policy and counter and cybercrime. Bella, that could be a reason. Do you think that's why KJ's deleted these posts so she can say to insurance companies she never put those posts up? Possibly. So yes, I'm doing data policy and cybercrime next semester. They wouldn't let your estate attorney hold a defamation. Well, that's true. It's not until second half of next year do I do a civil procedure and alternative dispute resolution. There's some I'm not really looking forward to, I have to tell you. Like, I'm not really interested in administrative law or estate. Was but I've got to do it. Trusts. Could do trusts and equitable properties. Could do land law. I'm not really interested in it. Property law, constitutional law, evidence law. I'm looking forward to that one. Plus my electives are, I'm looking at sports law. I'm looking at contemporary international legal law, corporate governance, and I'm looking at what was the other one? Intellectual property and policy. But anyway, so you have to do, there's 11 core units you have to do. Yeah, you could ask Cracker Graham to mentor you. I could do. Yeah. So the ones I'm doing legal method and statutory interpretation. So how to read court documents, contract law and policy, criminal law and policy, and torts and policy. Then I've got commercial law and policy, law and policy of misleading conduct and product liability, criminal procedure and policy, and the data law policy and cybercrime. There we go, cybercrime. Watch out. And then I'm going to try and pick up 2 units over the summer break. I worked out if I can pick up 2 units for year 1 and 2 over the summer unit, I'll actually do it in 2.5 years. That's my goal. Oh, I set big goals for myself anyway. I could ask Cracker Graham to mentor me. Yes, I'm not really interested in wills and probate, and I don't really want to do family law either. Or immigration law. Sorry, poppy seeds. But some people like that. I like this stuff. Although I'm finding criminal law very fascinating because you think it's actually not black and white. Part of being charged with theft of property is that the person who's reported it actually has to have some type of ownership over the property to be able to report it as stealing. You can actually be let off from stealing if there's no actual owner. It's really bizarre. It's really bizarre. There are some really weird laws, but when you start to break down the laws, you go, that actually does make sense, but it's not black and white. So here's an example. You take your car to be serviced at a garage and they tell you that it's going to cost you a lot of money. So therefore, you decide you're going to take your car back. So you go and you take your car back from the garage because you don't want to pay their fees. You don't tell them, you just go take them. The garage reports your car is stolen. Question, can you be charged with theft because it's your car? Put yes or no. And this is only in Victoria. Like, this is in the state that I live. So I'm only relating to the state that I live. Doesn't mean that it's the same everywhere. But, I mean, this is where we're getting to. This is the type of questions that, yes, yes. Everyone, we've got a few yeses. Yes. Well, the answer is yes, because while your car is at the garage has temporary ownership of the car while it's there. It's in their possession. So yes, you could be charged with theft of a vehicle. So there you go. So it's stuff like that. It's really bizarre. Whether it happens or not is another matter. I mean, but yes, you could be charged with theft of your own vehicle. I think property and state law would be useful for life in general. I wish I knew more about the states. Yeah, well, that's true too. But, you know, it doesn't interest me as you can go down and do an elective on that. Yeah, so, you know. Yeah, stuff like that is really fascinating when you hear about like that. For example, you very rarely hear about people being charged for assault and battery these days. Everything in criminal, it's assault mainly, but you can actually file a civil claim, a civil tort for battery. Assault is physical and battery is mental, but usually it comes under one. And again, because the burden of proof is so high for criminal, most people do it as a civil because the burden of proof is lower. Just interested. Anyway, so technically where they talk about mental anguish and everything, the derricks, they could actually refer to it as battery. So there you go. All right. So anyway, that's enough from this Learner Lawyer. I've looked at the time. I need to get going. I've got so much to do, no time to do it in. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you all again soon, and we will keep an eye and see whether this gets amended again. How many amendments do you reckon we'll get? There'll be a few, I think. Anyway, catch you all later. Bye for now.